Welcome pilots, my name is Hybrid V and we are back once again to watch your takeoff and landings here in Star Citizen. And if this is the first time you're watching the show, we have a small hangar opening up here by the way, but this is the first time you're watching the show. This is where I go around various spaceports and locations in Star Citizen and watch players come and go, much like whoever this player is looking to be potentially taking off or landing here from this small hangar. I watch players come and go and I give them a rating out of 10 based on how cinematic their landing is. So essentially how cool their landing actually really is, or their takeoff. In this case, we have an arrow taking off. Looks like the gear is up now. The wings are a little bit desynced for some players, so it looks good there. I could see the gear was already up. Very solid takeoff there. And I could also see the animation it was coming up as soon as before they left the hangar. So my criteria, folks, if you're not already aware, is cinematic takeoff and landings involve a takeoff and landing like something you'd see in other type of sci-fi media, right? So if they're taking off from a hangar like that arrow did, right, you want to make sure you lift up, pull your gear out, and you take off in a nice, smooth motion, no hesitation whatsoever. You try to avoid any type of crashing into the sides of things. You want to not leave the gear down. If your ship has VTOL, utilize the VTOL just because it looks really cool. And it also does help. It's, it actually has some use, but it looks cool for the most part, right? And what about landings? Well, landings is the most tricky one, right? In a lot of sci-fi media, what you'll see is a ship coming into land, and right before they touch down on the pad, they'll pull the gear out. The entire time they are very in control of the ship. It looks very smooth, it looks very cinematic. No impacts with the side of the hangars, no hesitation whatsoever. So that's what we're looking for when it comes to a cinematic takeoff or landing. And it looks like that's going to be it for now. So let's go ahead and cut the cameras and let's go find our next customer, since we got one already. So let's go ahead and see what we get next. All right, we have another small hangar opening up here. Is it someone coming or is it someone going? Let's take a quick peek. Let's zoom on in and we have somebody getting ready for takeoff here. And it looks to be a Lightning getting ready to dust from the hangar. There they go, lifting up. Let's see if the gear is up, looking good. Nope, the gear is not up. Looked like the gear was up there for a second. Gear is not up yet. Nice roll out of the hangar and the gear is finally coming up. Very nice, I will say. That is a very nice takeoff. I forgot to give a rating to the arrow before I cut the cameras there. That arrow had only a tiny bit of hesitation, so I'll give him a 9 out of 10. Now, this Lightning, very nice takeoff. I would normally say, that's about a, give it or take, kind of like a, it's not quite a 10 out of 10 because the gear didn't come up before they left the hangar. They kind of did it after they left the hangar, but they had a nice flourish as they took off, and I do quite enjoy that. I'll give them a 9 out of 10 as well. Not perfect. And in fact, I probably could take a little bit more away. Also, it looks like a ship out in the distance, potentially. I could take more points away, but I don't want to because I do enjoy that little flourish. Again, we want people who are cinematic and potentially look cool as well. So watch this Lightning is wonder if they're a brand new pilot or something. They seem to be really enjoying this ship and also shooting it, although maybe not. I think they're using cannons because, yeah, generally, I think the default loadout is repeaters with ballistic cannons on it, and they might be using laser cannons, which indicates to me this person maybe modified their loadout, so maybe it's not new to them. They're just kind of enjoying it, enjoying their Lightning as it is. Lightning still has the Vanguard style kind of tuning to it, unfortunately, so it's not very maneuverable. A lot of firepower, though, in 323, so if you get in front of this thing, you will die, just like I was prior, but more so now than ever. It is a beast. It's really, really fun to fly, though I would like to see it be more maneuverable like it was touted to be for being a heavy fighter, but we will see what the tunings bring us. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on. Jumping down to the planet here, we have a Cutlass coming in for landing. I'm going to be jumping back and forth between different parts of landing sites. I may even go to Area 18 in a couple moments here. It's just been kind of dead in the times I've been trying to record. I think a lot of the duping has killed a lot of enthusiasm for people to play the game. And there hasn't been a lot of movement around the spaceports as of late. So yeah, it's cool to actually see somebody, actually coming in. I'm sitting at these spaceports for long periods of times, and I'm not really seeing a whole lot of activity. We do see VTOL, but we also see early gear brought down here. So I like to see the VTOL activation. They're very nice, but the gear is a little bit too early for my like. It's not as cinematic as I'd like it to be. Let's see how they bring things in. Oh, hits the backside. But they were... Uh-oh. Are we getting a... Yes, we're getting a repeat. Oh, no, folks. You can see the pilot falling as they are now dead. We are getting another repeat of what I'm now going to have to dub the Cutlass Killer. If you remember, folks, from the previous episode, we had a Cutlass also attempting to land at one of the small hangars and then blow up into Lego blocks as such here. I'm not entirely certain what's going on with Lorville here, if this is specific to this Lorville or even these type of hangars, but this is the second time now I've seen a Cutlass completely explode when a player tries to just come in even softly. Like, you saw that the player was coming in fine. Yeah, they bumped into the side of the hangar, but not enough to cause any serious damage like that. That's very strange. They just disappeared and then all of a sudden just supernovaed into the hangar, just completely just obliterated themselves. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe I'll try it later with my own Cutlass and see what's going on. Maybe try to look for an issue council report, because that is very strange, very odd. Even more weird that it's only affecting Cutlasses. Now, I know, folks, it's Drake, of course. We all know they're made out of super glue and bubblegum half the time, but still, you know, they're built for utility. You know, they should be able to take a beating, but for some reason, those hangars, I don't know, maybe Hurston Dynamics really doesn't like Drake, and they have some type of something going on with that air shield that kind of just tears the fabric of space and time and destroys Drake ships in particular. Very odd. Yeah, feel bad for that pilot, 07, good sir. Yeah. Fortunately, I can't give a proper rating for that because that's a full-on destruction. All right, let's move on. Back to the station here, and I see something taking off from one of the larger hangars. We have a Hammerhead taking off. Gear is now coming up as they leave the air shield, looking nice. Now they're kind of hesitating a little bit. See, this is what I mean by hesitation. I'd like to see they have their lifts down as well too. But I'd like to see them, like, if you're taking off and you want your cinematic style takeoff or landing, or you want to improve on that, I'd recommend you just take off in one smooth motion. You continue, you don't hesitate, don't try to open your star map and try to find a location. Just take off and go, right? Make it look like you have a purpose in where you're trying to get to. But overall, very nice, although I would like to see the hesitation be kind of fixed a little bit there. The gear, I think, is okay because it looked like the gear was already kind of being activated right before they left the full air shield there, so that looks okay in my books. I think I won't dock too many points for that or anything. I will say the hesitation is going to cost them, so that's just another solid 9. Now, let's see where this Hammerhead is going. I do like watching a lot of the bigger ships take off in Quantum because you can actually see them. Unlike the smaller ships where they just kind of disappear from existence, the bigger ships tend to have a slower ramp-up time. So you'll note that you'll actually be able to see them physically travel, especially if this person may be spline jumping. As they are, away they go off into the distance. You can see the blue hue of the quantum drives. Once again, folks, quantum mechanics are going to change in the near future. We're going to have Q boosting and all these new effects, as well as like free quantum travel and stuff like that. Brand new types of visual effects are going to come with that. So I am looking forward to that. You can also see the reason why this Hammerhead took off from a hangar instead of an actual dock, because the docks are broken. Still, there's a lot of problems. You can see a Hammerhead and a Hull C have spawned in, but the actual docking ports are not connected to them whatsoever. They are still retracted. That is a huge bug with this patch still. It's been going on for a long time, even before 3.23, and unfortunately, it just makes having either a Hull C or a Hammerhead just a chore because of that issue, because of the fact that the docking ports just don't extend properly and players can't get into their ships like they're supposed to. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on. What have we got here? We have a Cutlass of some description, and that red on the Cutlass indicates to me that is probably a Cutlass Red. It looks like they're avoiding the path. Oh, they're going towards this abandoned A2 out here in the distance here. This A2's been sitting here for quite a while. And I'm assuming this Cutlass is, what do we got here? We got any cargo? Is there any way I can get inside, potentially? That, or maybe it's their friend, or maybe they own the ship. Don't know. No. Ah, look at that VTOL usage. So, folks, like I told you before, right? VTOL actually is functional on ships. I know sometimes you probably use it and you don't feel like it does anything, but it actually is completely functional. And you can see that Cutlass pilot is very, very well versed in their ship, and they use the VTOLs to actually slow themselves down. Remember, your bottom maneuvering thrusters are the most powerful maneuvering thrusters, and when you switch to VTOL along with your bottom maneuvering thrusters, while, you know, CIG have nerfed bicording, you still can apply main thrust engines and some of those bottom thrusters to slow you down a lot faster than you normally could. It's a really, really effective strategy. So not just for, you can see their back door is actually opening, I think. That could be LOD issues. So it's not just for helping you with taking off and landing, it's also for, it can be used for actual doing complex maneuvers, just like you saw there from this Cutlass. looks like they probably are uninterested. They may have tried to scan the ship. I don't think scanning is working properly for showing cargo. Let me know, folks, if you've been able to get that working, because when I try to do scanning of other ships, generally it just shows me the components and then that's it. I don't even usually see if there's any other players aboard. It's kind of weird. I think CIG kind of nerfed scanning, probably unintentionally. And let me know if they fix that. Anyway, it looks like this Cutlass is going to be going on their way, and so shall we. Let's move on. All right, another small hangar opening up here. Do we have somebody coming or do we have somebody going? Let's go ahead and push on in, and it looks like we have somebody getting ready to leave, and more specifically, we have a Pisces on the deck, and because of that red livery, that tells me that is a Pisces R, the rescue variant of the Pisces. Taking off from the hangar, gear is still up, you can tell because the little stubby flappy wings are still up, so that tells me the gear is still down, I should say. Let me correct myself there, apologies. So I'm saying the gear is down when that flappy wings are up, the gear is down, and you can see they are indeed struggling with their speeds. There they go, they pulled the gear up, that allows them to get more speed. So we had a little bit of hesitation. They were relatively able to get out of the hangar decently well. A little tiny hesitation, not too much for me to take points away. However, the gear being down that entire time, I will take a lot of points away for that for sure. So for my cinematic ratings there, I'd say that's more of like a, I give it about a 7 out of 10 more than anything else, because I'd like to see that gear come up a lot sooner. It's just kind of awkward when you're flying around after you take off and have your gear down the entire time like that, right? You can see we have a Valkyrie on deck ready for takeoff here. Don't know, this player's been kind of sitting on the deck for quite some time here. And I don't know if they may be adjusting keybinds or something like that. Maybe give them a bit of a wave, wake them up. But yeah, they haven't been moving for a little bit. It could be they're, you know, adjusting settings or something like that. But they have their hangars open, so looks like they're ready. So maybe they're waiting on some friends. Don't know. We'll see. All right, unfortunately, the Valkyrie decided not to give us a show, but this Cutlass here is looking to be taking the spotlight. Regular old Cutlass black, it looks like. Coming in for landing potentially. Let's go ahead and push on in and get a better view here. Let's see. Looks like you got the hangars right off to my right side over here. Let's see how you do, good sir. Is that the Coalfire livery? It does indeed look like the Coalfire livery. The red and black, almost kind of pirate-like skin there. Ooh, look at that nose-in approach. No, this is actually a Cutlass red. It looked like a Coalfire from far away. But now with the lights, look, you can actually see that bright red on there. You can also see they kind of bumped into the hangar a little hard there. I like that really aggressive approach. No VTOL activation, although the gear was used correctly, although they did bump into the bottom of the hangar. So we're going to have to subtract points for that, as well as a late gear, or excuse me, late VTOL activation. And I really did actually enjoy the aggression, but the contact always is going to cost a lot of points. Hello, Valkyrie, still haven't taken off there. So I'm actually going to drop that even further because of the contact. Again, this could be like a 7-ish, but that contact, I'm always going to subtract a lot more points per contact, especially rough contact with that nose and rough landing. So this is going to be a bit more of a 6. All right, let's go ahead and move on. We have small hangar opening up once again, and we have a Firebird on deck. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Aegis Grilled Chicken ready for takeoff here in the standard white, black, and red livery. You know, I originally did not like the Firebird. I thought it was really silly, but CIG has now improved on its missile complement from from 12 missiles to now 24 missiles. It's also getting the proper amount of stealth coating as it's supposed to, equivalent to the Sabre Raven, which I'm flying right now. And that is going to mean it's going to have roughly about 40% reduction in all of its signatures, which means it's going to be a very stealthy missile boat. I really like that concept. And its default missiles are electromagnetic, which I tend to prefer more over the cross-sections from, like, say, the Shrike, right? Beautiful takeoff, looking good here. Let's see, that gear is already up for sure. Definitely can see the speed they're moving at. The gear was up, and away they go. That's a solid 10 out of 10 in my book. Looking very beautiful. Very nice. But yeah, Firebird is a beautiful ship. Of course, I'm biased because I have a Raven, and I do enjoy the lines of the Aegis Sabre Raven, and of course now the Firebird, as I like to call it, the grilled chicken. A wonderful ship that I intend to use a lot more in a support role, especially for PvP and stuff like that. It's definitely a really fun interceptor for utilization. Shrike is more of like kind of, it can dogfight a little bit more. It's a little bit more agile in that space, but the Shrike or excuse me, the Firebird not so much, but it's an interceptor, so it can really get in and get out pretty quick. All right, let's move on. What have we got over here? What is this? We have what appears to be a spirit. Potentially they took off. I might have missed them. Looks like this hangar is opening up here. And then we have another ship. We have a Lightning, it looks like. Also potentially just took off. Although the hangar doors aren't closing, so I'm not entirely certain if they took off or if they've landed. A little bit disappointing if I missed either way those takeoff or landings. Oh, look at what do we got here? The Spirit is actually coming in for a landing. Look at that. So the Spirit is, or are they? The hangar door is closed. Maybe the Spirit pilot is a little bit confused as to where they're supposed to go. Regardless, their gear is down early. More than I'd personally like for a cinematic takeoff or landing here, folks. You can see the hangar doors are not responsive. I don't know if that actually is their hangar. Generally, the Spirit doesn't get a generous hangar like that. They generally get these small hangars. It could be that this pilot is a little bit confused as to where they're supposed to be going to land here. It can be a little bit confusing with the brand new landing, like hangar markers. They're a little bit smaller than what we're used to. But they are there, and they're blue. They tend to be a little bit different than what you're normally used to seeing on your HUD. Unless you're in quantum mode, then it can get kind of buried in there. Okay, away they go. Looks like they're heading towards the small hangar. Yes, there we go. So I think my intuition here was correct. This player probably was a little bit confused as to where their hangar was supposed to be. And it looks like they may have gotten the proper assignment of their hangar, which is going to be that small, very difficult to land for a Spirit hangar. Spirit being quite a big ship, doesn't quite fit. Well, it fits, of course, into the small hangars, but as anybody will tell you who's a Spirit owner, it is a pain in the keister to get that thing to fit properly without ever making contact. It's a lot more difficult than you would actually expect. Now, with the upcoming changes to the cargo and personal hangars, you're going to be able to get a slightly larger size one for the Spirit. Now, if you're in a location that doesn't have your personal hangar, I'm not entirely certain if you're still going to get a larger hangar, or if you're just going to get a tiny one. Not certain yet. Ooh, careful! Almost getting some contact there. Actually, I think they might be making contact with the left side of the hangar. Careful. Yep, made a light bit of contact there. Also, no VTOL being used. And I did see the gear come down a little bit earlier than I'd like there as well. So this pilot's going to have to readjust themselves, recenter themselves. There they go. There they go. I do like this horizontal approach. Again, folks, I recommend you do a nose-in approach if you're still trying to kind of get your feet wet in Star Citizen and you're kind of learning a little bit. You can also see security very interested in that Spirit as well, too, making sure that he's not trading any illicit goods. Spirit looks like it wants to kind of take a mulligan on that one and try to reassess and maybe come back in. That, or maybe because they're getting scanned, they're trying to kind of just hold themselves in position above the air. So that will kind of ruin things, unfortunately. I want to give them a full rating, but because security comes and ruins it, I don't really want to dock them points for hesitation, because security came in and kind of ruined things for them there. Because you do have to kind of stop. I do recommend, though, if you're right next to your hangar and security asks you to pull over, just go inside and land. They're still going to scan you anyway, and it's better than just hanging out outside like that. Especially because security can be kind of weird. They can sometimes like hang around for too long and then they end up bumping into you or other players. Sometimes it's very rare, but a lot of times they'll crash into the station and cause all kinds of chaos. So yeah, you want to be kind of careful of that. So I usually recommend if they're going to scan you and you're coming in for landing, just land anyway. You got plenty of time. Don't worry about it. So yeah, this Spirit owner is just kind of floating up in the air. Oh, we got somebody else potentially coming in for landing. Let's take a little bit of a peek. What's going on over here? We have two ships meeting. Are those two Mantis? Is that two security? And a third ship out in the distance? Hard to say. Let's see how the Spirit's doing over here. Let's kind of dial back. Okay, going in a nose-in approach. Oh, nope. They're going to go horizontal. They got their lights on. Never mind. The lights are not on. All right. Let's see what they choose to do here. Okay. You know what? Maybe I'll let the Spirit figure themselves out for a little bit. I kind of want to see what's going on with those other ships, especially the security over there. Let's kind of maybe shift our focus a little bit here. Maybe the Spirit is, I think the Spirit just kind of gave up on the idea of landing and is just saying, you know what, let's go do something else. Never mind. I don't actually need to be here. Also, those green lights, have they always been like that on the back of the Spirit? I've never actually noticed that before. Oh, hey, look at this. We have a Hornet taking off from here. Hornet already had its gear before it left the air shield. You love to see it, folks, here. And is it going to continue forward? Is he going to continue forward? Or is he just going to hold because he's going to set his star map? I would like to see that push out. Oh, never mind. They're just going to quantum away. Okay, that works too. I would still like to see them push away and then quantum away. I'd like to see, you know, like almost like a plane taking off, right? I'll give them a solid 9 out of 10. That Spirit, of course, didn't finish their entire landing sequence, so I'm not going to give them a rating as well. All right, things have been getting kind of interesting around here. But let's go ahead and cut the cameras and see what else we find. What have we got here? Oh, goodness, the station looks to be opening up on something coming in. What is a big shots on the front of the nose? Huge damage. Don't know what it is. They are strafing up. I imagine this is a Hornet, a Mark II Hornet. Pilot might be panicking right now as they're taking shots. Undoubtedly, their shield is down. Don't see any other defensive fire come. Nope, there they go. Here comes those cannon rounds. This pilot's got their gear down, so their speed is limited. If they want to land, they got to do it now. They got to get in fast. If they take another cannon round or two, that could be the end of them. Now, I don't know if this player is actually a criminal or not. It could be they just have hostility attached to them. Maybe they accidentally locked missiles onto an actual friendly player or an NPC or something like that. And that, you know, of course, flags them temporarily as hostile. Looks like they land. Oh, goodness, someone is shooting at them from the side there. You see that there's some lasers that are coming from the left side. Let's see, what was that? A vulture, a player vulture was looking to maybe have a snack there and then decided to think better of it. It might be that this player's hostility flag disappeared, possibly by the time they landed, so he stopped. That would have been a very interesting, that would have been the first time I've seen that these vulture players, man, they're hungry for RMC, folks. Don't ever leave your ship down, you know, anywhere around the station without your shields down. You know, they'll definitely be stripped and on cinder blocks afterwards when it comes to vulture owners. But yeah, for that Hornet, a stressful landing indeed, having the gear out early, although everything else was relatively controlled. I did actually like that approach, despite the fact that they were under a lot of duress there. I will give them a solid 8 out of 10. Good, could be better, for sure, could be perfected, despite all circumstances. Let's go ahead and move on. Let's see what we got here. We have an Avenger Titan on deck, getting ready for takeoff here, and looks like we are going to have a bolter pad. We have not had a bolter style takeoff in a long time, folks. A bolter style is where you lift up, gear up, and nose out and boost on out of the hangar like a horse bolting from the barn. Beautiful, solid 10 out of 10 takeoff from this player in their Avenger. Looking beautiful. I love that. Have not seen a bolter in a long time, and it's always good to see one, especially a 10 out of 10. Very, very simple and easy way to make a 10 out of 10 takeoff because it looks very cool, very cinematic. You're just launching, almost like you're launching out of a carrier. It just looks really, really awesome. All right, folks, let's go ahead and move on. All right, back down at Lorville. Let's go ahead and take a look at the gates, see if anybody's loading up ships or anything like that. You know, folks have asked me in the past, hey, could you actually like maybe post like a rubric for what you're actually looking for to make it more kind of concrete? Because generally me personally, I know I kind of change my rules based on how things change here and there. I kind of have a lot of leeway. Ooh, we do have somebody down there maybe potentially taking off. Ooh, VTOL usage there from this, what looks to be a C2 or an A2 potentially, maybe an M2. Kind of hard to see with the coloration there. Is the gear actually up? No, the gear's actually down, so that takeoff, I would have to take points away for that takeoff. I do love the VTOLs. I do love them kind of just screaming up into the sky like that, but just watch that gear usage there, right? So like that type of takeoff, I could definitely say that was great. That was beautiful. 9 out of 10 though because of the gear. I would like to see the gear being addressed there. In fact, I could even drop that to an 8 because the gear is still down at this point. But yeah, folks, a rubric, I definitely have been thinking about doing that because I know a lot of you actually are interested in actually kind of almost turning it into like a real serious competition of some type. And I mean, that is something I have considered, but I would have to be really thinking a lot hard about the rubric and making sure there's no like kind of loopholes or anything like, oh, there's the ramp is opening up here. You can see a rover, potentially maybe they're going to be driving off. Nope, they're bringing the ramp back up here, almost losing their cargo. I can't tell if somebody's actually in that rover. It's hard to say there. And away they go. Okay, I guess that maybe they just wanted to air out their rover, you know, give their rover a little bit of air there, you know. It's kind of like when you roll the window down for your dog, you know. Your dog generally will appreciate it if you roll down the window for them. They want to smell everything. And, you know, Ursa rovers are the same thing too. They really just want to be able to enjoy all the sights and sounds and smells of the, you know, the universe Star Citizen has to offer. So let's see where this pilot goes. But yeah, so back to what I was saying about a rubric. Yeah, a rubric would probably be something I'd definitely want to put together and kind of really kind of solidify things that we're looking for and where you could take points away. I may end up kind of like crowdsourcing that a little bit to kind of get people's opinions and kind of, kind of go where people feel on that more than it just being kind of my personal overall taste. I kind of really wanted to kind of open it. Maybe I'll open it to the Discord, our Discord. So, if you want to join and be a part of that, be sure to check the description below for the Hybrid V Audio Discord. And if that does become a point of conversation, that will definitely be posted there for sure. You can see that it looks like this pilot is coming in for landing here. They are using VTOLs. I do like to see that. So let's see if they can get higher points on this landing overall versus the actual takeoff. Let's see how they do here. Lining themselves up, so they are now perfectly lined, looking good. VTOL's looking good. They're coming in nice and smooth. They are descending, looking good, looking solid. I like to see this. Looking awesome. Okay, there you go. Now they're lining themselves up. Come on, bring it down. Are we going to see the gear right before they touch down? No gear yet. Let's see. Gear is coming down. This is what we like to see here, folks. This is a beautiful 10 out of 10 landing. Look at that, buttery smooth. There's no even nose tipping or anything. That is beautiful. That's what we like to see here, folks. A beautiful, solid, cinematic 10 out of 10 landing there. So they did absolutely recover from that takeoff there. Wonderful, good sir. Enjoy your day. Thank you for the first 10 out of 10 of this episode for this week. All right, let's go ahead and see if anybody else can pull it off. Let's go ahead and move on. What have we got here? We have a whole A coming in for landing, folks. I think there's like, what, 3 people who actually unironically use the hull A in their day-to-day, including myself. I actually like to use the hull A to move refined materials every so often if I don't have a whole lot to move around. I actually quite enjoy the hull A. It's not the fastest ship, right? And you have the potential issue of somebody coming in, like, stealing your cargo off of the grids, right? There's just like all these weird things about the hull series, right? But I don't know what about it just makes me excited to use the hull A. Probably because I hate the fact that my hull C is not usable because of the docking ports being so broken, right? So I do enjoy using my hull A as like a little puddle jumper to get around and move cargo every so often, especially if I have refined materials. Or in this case, this player appears to have potentially RMC, it looks like, which those containers are also. By the way, CAG, fantastic job on the new containers. They look absolutely gorgeous. I love all the detail on them. They look awesome. So whenever you're doing trading, you can always now, like, pretty much at a glance, easily tell what type of cargo it is. In this case, this looks like RMC to me because I recognize that coloration. Early gear activation from this pilot. The hull A does not have actual VTOL, so we don't need to worry about looking for that. A lot of hesitation here. Could be that they're in third person. Again, a lot of times when you see players hovering above the actual hangar there, it's because maybe they're potentially adjusting their third person camera. This is why, folks, I always say, if you want to get better at cinematic landings, there's now more or less 2 ways you can do it, like, pretty effectively. And the easiest way is just do it in first person and you go in as, a coupled landing, like normal landing. And then the other, of course, is now decoupled landing, since vector hold is now on pretty much all the time in decoupled, which is awesome. So now you can actually do a lot more third person adjustments and stuff like that easily as you're descending, and it looks really, really good. And it gives you a lot more, ability to kind of control your camera, go into first person, go back and forth. So that's definitely an option for you. Player is being very, very careful here as they're landing. I don't blame them. It's a lot of cargo there. I mean, not a whole lot, but it's still worth something, and you don't want to lose any of that, right? So looking good, and it looks like they touched down nice and soft. So early gear activation, a massive amount of hesitation, but they buttered it on the landing. It was a little slower than I'd like, but they definitely did put it down nice and centered as best they possibly could. So I do like that. So I will give them it's between a 6 or a 7. And I'm kind of opting more for like a 6 because I really would like to see some more excitement out of that. Really, a lot more. Let me know in the comments if you think it's something different. Let me know what you thought. All right, let's go ahead and move on. All right, we have a Cutlass coming in. You see the VTOLs being thrown down immediately so they can slow themselves as they come to an approach. Do love to see that. Wonderful VTOL usage. Okay, so this Cutlass is coming in and landing. We have a Cutlass curse now kind of cropping up. Are we going to see the same thing here from this Cutlass pilot here? All right, they're lining themselves up. A little bit of hesitation as they're kind of trying to adjust. It looks like they might not have proximity assist on, so they're kind of a little bit stuttery there in their movements, a little bit kind of got that digital movements. Their gear coming down and beautiful. Oh, a little bit rough. Just a tiny bit rough. There could be smoothing that out a little bit more. That looked really, really good though. I love the early VTOL usage to slow themselves down. They kind of lined themselves. They had some of that kind of keyboard cat style movement where it kind of looked a little bit weird and twitchy. That generally also happens when you don't have your gear down. And also if you don't have proximity assist. Remember, proximity assist is great to turn off if you want to do like a lot of low flying and stuff like that. But when you're coming in for landing, it makes your actual inputs a lot more sensitive if you don't have it on. So you end up being very, very twitchy and it can cause issues like that. So I will have to take some points for that. And it was just a little bit rough on the touchdown. Overall though, I think I will give them an 8 because I really, really like that, but I can't give them a 9 for it because there's just some hesitation. Some of that little keyboard catting kind of nonsense there. And then of course a rough touchdown. So I will say that's an 8 because it looked really good. We're just missing some steps that could really be tightened up. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so it was still pretty dead there. Like I said, folks, this patch has kind of like petered out a little bit for a lot of folks. I think when people started duping, it really started to cut a lot of enthusiasm once people had, you know, millions and millions of credits. All of a sudden they had no interest in actually doing missions or anything on their own. So that kind of really killed a lot of activity that you would see at spaceports. So yeah, I mean, I spent the past few days doing a few of these recordings here, and there was a lot of dead air where there was just nothing happening at any of these spaceports. Anything going on whatsoever. And be careful if you decide you want to keep duping, folks. CIG in the past have actually done ledger adjustments when we've had stuff like this happen in the before. They haven't confirmed whether they're going to do it now, right? They haven't said anything yet, but it's still it's very much a possibility that they could potentially, even this week, maybe announce it. I don't know if they're going to, because before this patch went live, they wanted to do some data gathering on the changes that they made for a lot of the actual stuff that you can buy, all the, you know, commodities and stuff like that, and see the price changes and also the changes they've done for payouts for different missions and whatnot. And they wanted to gather data on that and see how things went and see how well it matches their predictions and whatnot. But unfortunately, the cargo duping completely ruins that, and they're going to have to probably do it again. And that is probably going to mean that they're going to have to do ledger adjustments. Now, what does that mean? In the past, there was times where people made too much money, whether it was either from a bug or from an event that paid out way more than it needed to or something like that. And CIG kind of had to rein things in, and what they would do is for kind of like for different accounts, everybody would have a different adjustment to their ledger. And CIG knows who's duping. It's not hard for them to see it. They have all the logs on the server. It's not hard to see when someone has just from no money to all of a sudden millions and millions and millions of credits within a very short time span. It's not hard for them to see that. So if they do see some type of weird anomaly, they can go in and they can adjust the ledger. They could cut off a certain amount of money, or maybe they even wipe cash again. I don't know. Again, nothing has been confirmed. I'm just letting you know, folks, that this is something that they have done in the past. So it is definitely a possibility that we could potentially maybe see another wipe in cash, or at least a ledger rebalance. Don't know. Again, hasn't been confirmed. I can only speak based on historically we've seen that. So we'll see. We'll see, folks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you did indeed enjoy today's video, please leave a like, as it really, really does help out the channel. And of course, if you want to see more videos like this and much more down the line, be sure to subscribe as well. And of course, you want to go a little bit above and beyond. You enjoy the work that I do here and you want to support it, much like these fine folks here on screen, consider becoming a channel member. And as you can see here, Exhibit A, folks, here's all the dupers for today. Oh goodness, look at them. They are just like multiplying. Yeah, I mean, this is why I'm almost certain CIG may potentially do some type of rebalancing of the economy, maybe personal ledgers, or another UEC wipe. We shall see. All right, until next time, fly safe, because you never know who might be watching. And I'll see you all in the black.